Welcome back to another episode of the I'm F.I.N.E podcast, where being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional is totally normal. I am Eric Peterson.
And I'm Brad Stosiek.
And in today's episode, we are diving into something that hits us all at some point: self-sabotage. We're going to talk about those moments that you are just about to make some progress and you somehow talk yourself out of it. We're going to share our own personal experiences with sabotaging ourselves, why we do it, the patterns to be aware of, and what you can do to stop self-sabotaging yourselves. So sit back and relax and enjoy as Brad and I do our best to help you go from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine with getting in your own way.
Welcome to the I'm F.I.N.E podcast with your freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional hosts, Eric Peterson and Brad Stosiek.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, buddy. How are you?
I'm good.
I like your Crocs.
Thanks. Thank you. I got a White Sox, I don't know, like fidget or what they're called. Nora gave it to me, so you can take that back.
Oh, I take it back.
Yeah.
Gift from the dog. Gift from the kids. I'll take it back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. How are the Sox records so far?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
Dude, they're like the second worst team in baseball. I don't know.
Football season's starting up.
It is.
Football season's starting up. It's a great way for us to completely forget about everything else that's burning down. So that's nice.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the Bears win the preseason every year, and we get super hyped, and then they suck.
I've been doing this. I don't know. I think most Bears fans have been doing this almost every year for like the past, I don't know, since the 85 Bears, where it's like, all right, guys, this year might be the year. Like, seriously. And I always try not to get my hopes up, and then a little bit of hope creeps in. And like this year, I'm looking at the new coach, seeing the stuff he's doing. I kind of like it. You know what I mean? Caleb Williams, he seems, I don't know what my feelings are about him, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know if I'm really for or against him, but that Badgett guy, I like the cut of his jib for sure. The backup.
Okay.
Like, have you been hearing this stuff? Like,
Nah,
he got super emotional when talking about how much money, I forget what the agreement was that he got signed on for. I think it was like $10 million. And he talked about how his dad grew up, I think, in a home, I can't remember if it was without running water or something like that. But you could tell like how moved he was by it, how much he appreciated it.
Yeah.
And just the stuff he says, like his character and everything, is the kind of stuff that I really like to see in like a quarterback who's supposed to be the leader of the team, like that humble approach. You know what I mean?
Or, in his case, the leader of the practice squad.
Yes, maybe. Hey, he came in, he played a few games. Was it last season?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Imagine.
Dude, I haven't turned a Bears game on in like 2 years.
That's why you've been so positive lately, for sure. Like the past few years. That's why you've been killing it, bro, is you haven't been watching the fucking Bears.
Yep, there it is.
How's everything else been going, Brad?
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You started back up at 75 hard?
Started back up, up and down. I have had to restart a couple times.
It's okay. But you're back at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
I've been running into you in the gym. That's good. I've been sick for like, no shit, a month. Like I had a sinus infection for like 3 weeks. I've never had a sinus infection like that before. I went to urgent care. They tested me. They didn't test me for COVID, but like whatever they did, they said that they believed I had a sinus infection, but it had put me down for a couple of days. And usually colds, flus, COVID, nothing really does that. And I was dealing with that. And I've been dealing with it kind of ever since. It's been like almost a month. And my wife, Ashley, was talking to me about going back to the doctor again. If it does not get any better, I probably will. Some people are talking about it could be there's like a new strain of COVID going around.
Really?
But I just feel like so many of us don't give a shit about that anymore. Like we're tired. We're trying to pay our bills. Like I understand what you're saying about the COVID, and we don't want people to die, but also like I'm done. I'm kind of tapped out with all that stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's just like it's like the flu, right? Like the flu killed people for a while.
I don't know, but when the flu happens, you don't have to put a plastic tent outside of your restaurant and tell everybody to go eat in the tent because it's better. Like, so you won't get sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we didn't really think that one through.
I feel like I hope I'm getting out of it. I feel like I'm getting out of it, but it's just, I hate it because, man, when you get sick, especially when you have kids and then, or your kids are sick and it's like you're watching the sickness move through the house like a really slow horror movie. And you're like, oh God, I'm going to get it next. And it affects you at work because you can't go to work because you have to take care of your kids and then you're sick, right? You know what I mean? So it's just like, bleh.
Dude, it was like day 2 of school.
Yeah.
And Nora was like, I don't feel good.
Lily was like day 3 or 4. Same. Yeah.
And I was like, nope. I was like, school just started. It's day 3. You're going. Don't care.
You just made him go.
Yeah, I did.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yep.
Dude,
my mom used to tell me, I was like, Mom, I don't feel good. She's like, are you dying? No. Good. Go to school.
They didn't have the same concerns that we are allegedly supposed to have now. Because, like, yeah, for me to be missing school, like, I had to be pretty damn sick. And for parents that had kids that have been going to school around and after COVID, now it's like, do you have a cough? You need to stay home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's weird. It's weird.
It is.
Anyway, good to be back. Good to be recording. Good to have you in here, Brad. I love you, dude.
Thanks,
good
man.
to
I love
see
you
you in
too.
here, man. And we are going to talk about something that I've dealt with a lot, and that I see a lot of other people dealing with, especially in the veteran community, because again, we work in the crisis space. And so we deal with self-sabotage. We deal with people that stand in their own way. And I am just as guilty, and I make plenty of mistakes too. We're going to get into that. But before we do, what are our sources today, Bradley?
Yes, sir. Today's sources are Psychology Today and verywellmind.com.
Thank you, sir.
Of course.
So first off, let's define it. To define what self-sabotage is. Self-sabotaging is a way to describe an action or inaction that we do that creates problems in our daily lives and interferes with long-standing goals. Some examples that I'm going to reiterate throughout the episode are procrastination, perfectionism, negative self-talk, self-medication, comfort eating, self-injury, and those are just a few. And when I read these, just like a lot of the time when I'm like doing any outlines for any of our episodes, and then I start reading some of the examples of like something, I'm like, fuck you, man.
Yep.
Like, why you got to be calling me out like that? You know what I mean?
Right?
Some of those resonate with me for sure. I'll get into that in a second. But the thing is, people aren't always aware that they are sabotaging themselves. I think most of the time people are not aware that they're sabotaging themselves. And sometimes even connecting a behavior to the self-defeating consequence is still no guarantee that a person will stop doing it. So between the procrastination, perfectionism, negative self-talk, self-medication, comfort eating, self-injury, those examples, and others that you might have, what type of self-sabotage do you think you do the most?
Self-medicating.
Yep.
Which leads to comfort eating due to the side effects of the
Boy,
self-medication.
Boy, does it. Depending on what medication.
Yes.
For the marijuana?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's those are probably and I go in like spurts of negative. I mean, not so much anymore, but I'll every once in a while.
Yeah. I do too. I deal more with procrastination and also still self-medication. What?
I was gonna say it's hard. It's hard to procrastinate when I got nothing to do.
Bro, you got so much stuff to do. You got plenty of stuff to do. See, my problem, I know that I procrastinate a lot. It is really easy when you have a little device in your pocket that has access to the world, and I can just shut off my mind whenever I want by getting on there and looking at whatever emotionally charged drivel I'm going to find on social media or whatever the case may be. And so I procrastinate. Sometimes I find myself falling into that hole. I've never really been a perfectionist, really. So like that doesn't affect me so much. Negative self-talk, I don't think so either. I mean, sometimes I'm hard on myself, but I think I'm hard on myself in a constructive way. I think. I don't know, but I mean, that's my opinion. Self-medication, yes. But I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would call this type of sober, but it's just, I when it comes to marijuana, when it comes to the weeds, I just kind of felt like I was smoking too much. And again, I'm the type of user that just smokes at night. Like I just smoke at night, but I was smoking pretty much every night again. And I was like, man, I just don't personally for me. And I am not judging by any means anybody else on any of their habits, but I don't like how I feel if I do something every single night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that. Like I'd feel the same way if I was drinking. I'd feel the same way gambling or whatever. Like the fact that I have to do it and I feel like I'm so compelled to do it every night kind of scares me a little bit.
Sure.
And so I just want to take a little bit of a break just to make sure that I'm good. So like Monday through Friday during the work week, I am not smoking at all at night right now. I'm gonna roll with this. I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. We both talked about doing this.
I'm sure did.
And how have you been doing, Brad?
Oh, man. I forgot we had that conversation.
Yes,
and I was
that
actually, before you picked me up, I'm actually coming down.
That happens. And that also happens. To each their own.
Yeah.
But for me, I could tell that it was a form of self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of things that I need to get done. And while I genuinely enjoy how weed makes me feel, while I genuinely enjoy being able to like enjoy it with my wife at the end of a long day and just kind of hang out with her and talk and de-stress, like I can still do those things without the weed. I just need to show myself that I can.
Yeah.
And also if I smoke a little too much at night, I'll be able to fall asleep, but my back pain will wake me up still. Like it doesn't really help with that. And when I wake up, I feel a little foggy.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, especially because I'm trying to get back into the habit of working out early in the morning. Like usually I got to drop the girls off at a decent time and I can still get a workout in and get home and shower and get to work and all that other stuff. And start work and have plenty of time. But like, I really like going at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Good. It feels great when you work out at 4:30 in the morning. If you have a normal type schedule, you know what I mean? And it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and you know pretty much everybody's still asleep and you already got a fucking kick-ass workout in. You're like, bro, I feel great. Already I feel great. And it's hard to do when you wake up feeling groggy for me. So I am trying to take a little break from that form of self-sabotage.
Well, because we already talked about this is going to be my on-air declaration that I, too, also need a break. So
Your declaration is that you need it or that you're going to take one?
I'm also going to take one. I'm going to take one with you starting tomorrow. Because tomorrow. That ship has already sailed today. So
yeah, understandably so. No, I mean, everybody's got to do their own thing. And you can't be pressured to do or not do something because anybody else is doing it. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely need a break.
Yeah, man. And it's good to keep yourself in check like that. And it's a good, again, in terms of the episode, self-sabotaging, if it's something that is possibly hindering your long-term goals, then it's self-sabotage. So for me, if I have a lot of things that I need to get accomplished, and this is in smoking weed at night is possibly making it so those goals take longer to accomplish, then that's self-sabotage. It's okay to admit that for me. I'm okay admitting that to myself. When you hear the term, actually, before I get to that question, comfort eating also, when I read that one,
oh, God.
Like, I'm Filipino, bro. Like, we're a culture of comfort eating. Like, it is all about comfort eating.
Oh, my God.
That was also, like, for sure, I think that was something when I moved out on my own, I realized that I was kind of doing like, and I was also doing it as a form of procrastinating. Like maybe I'm the only guy that opens up his fridge 30 times in a day sometimes when you're just like bored and you got nothing to do and you walk, or you're like, well, maybe I'm hungry. And you walk over and you open up the fridge and you look around and then if you don't find anything, you shut it, look in the pantry, and then you leave and go do something else. And then 10 minutes later, you like open up the fridge again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
And you look for something to eat. Like comfort eating was another one for me that I was like, damn, that one's rough.
That one stings.
When you hear the term self-sabotage. What is the first memory or experience that really comes to mind for you?
So, first memory when I think of self-sabotage, I think of The Biggest Loser,
How so? The show?
the show.
Right?
Just like the challenges that they have, where it's like, scratch
remember.
this. Some of the crazy ones where it's like you have a vending machine and you can get something with so many calories, but then if you get like a donut, you have to eat the donut, and you gotta like. And so that is like my first memory of self-sabotage, that these people were like putting themselves on TV to like lose hundreds of pounds really quickly, really unhealthy, and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as like personal self-sabotage, I mean the military really sticks out.
And how so?
Just in the sense that like when I joined, gung ho, fucking hoorah, Marine Corps,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like being a cook, man, just takes a lot out of you.
In what way?
Underappreciated. Work all the time, right? So if there's like, the mandatory fun days where you got to go and like play games or whatever, well, the cooks have to go and like make burgers and shit for people. Like it just took a lot out of me.
And I'm saying this because of the conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
Are you also saying that because you didn't feel like it seemed like for a little while you didn't look at yourself as a veteran because of your MOS? Do Marines call it an MOS?
Yeah, yep.
So because of your MOS, or if you're unfamiliar with that term, just your job in the military, like you didn't really associate yourself with being a veteran or being actually in the service. So because of that, and like we talked about before, to join the military period, especially the Marines are definitely obviously regarded for having pride, confidence, all of those things. To join the Marines and then take a job that is not a grunt job, is that also what kind of led you to not having as strong of like a confident, motivational type feeling while you were in?
Yeah, I think so. Because like you said, I didn't really. People are like, whoa, what'd you do? I was like, oh, I'm just a glorified lunch lady, So like, that was
stop saying that.
I have.
Okay, good.
I don't say that anymore.
Good.
But yeah, I think that definitely had a big part of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just not a really good time to get it. But I got a case of the fuckets and
right.
It's just
Well, I mean, I kind of had that too. In that, so when I was in the military, usually where you stand. They have very strict policies, regulations on like everything, TMs, all sorts of shit. And for me, I usually did fairly well with like leadership type responsibilities for the most part. However, I've always been a bigger dude, And so when it came to height weight, I'd pass my PT test, but I was usually flagged on my height weight. And so because of that, I wouldn't get promoted. Now I'm saying that's self-sabotage because I'm not blaming anybody else for that. Like I know 100% that's on me. I'm not going to not take accountability and be like, the military needs to change their standards for me. It's like, no, man, I knew what I had to do. I chose not to do it. And because of that, I never got promoted, which is, I retired. I got out as what as the title was given to me as the Godfather of the E4 Mafia, which I'm fine with.
So you got out in E4?
Yeah, buddy.
Dude, me too.
I got out as an E4. So, I mean, I don't blame anybody else. I sabotaged myself. I could have done what I needed to do. But then when I knew that I wasn't going to get promoted, well, then I lost a little bit of my motivation to do much else because it's like I'm going to be in an E4 position. That's fine. But like I just lost a little bit of that drive. You know what I mean? So I think that was military definitely had something to do with my first real memory, I think, of self-sabotage also. Yeah. Have you ever caught yourself sabotaging yourself have you, let me start this over. Have you ever caught yourself sabotaging a goal right when you were close to achieving it? And if so, what happened?
I don't think I've ever sabotaged a goal. The only time I can think of sabotaging goals is when I've doing the 75 hard for a second time, or like starting a diet or something.
Yeah.
And I know I'm talking a lot about like weight loss and all that stuff, but that's kind of like what's
applicable.
like got going on in my life right now. But usually when I sabotage, I know I shouldn't be eating the Oreos and the garbage, but again, the weed, and then you're like, I mean, one Oreo is not going to hurt me, and then it turns into one row of Oreos isn't going to hurt me.
One row, yeah.
And then it turns into one pack of Oreos isn't going to hurt me.
Yeah.
So,
like, fuck you for saying that's a family size.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Family size my ass.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I could see that for sure. And you brought up before Appalachian Trail, but right before we started recording,
I did.
Kind of felt like that was something that you'd kind of sabotage for yourself also.
Yeah,
fairly close.
Yeah. So I set it up, and I got the gear, and I had a plan-ish.
Yeah.
And then when push finally came to shove, I never pulled the trigger because I would just come up with excuses like, oh, piss poor planning, or I have no one to go with me, or whatever the case was. I was always finding something to like back out of it, I guess. So,
but that's very accurate too. I mean, in that it's easy to find excuses. You can always find excuses for everything. And you were pretty gung-ho about it.
I mean, I still am.
Oh, yeah. And we still talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember how gung-ho you were when we first started this podcast. And then I remember I was asking, I was like, so like, have you like done any planning? And you're like, nah.
I'll figure it out.
All right, man. And I think you talked to my buddy Caleb.
Yeah.
That I was overseas with.
Yep.
And he's done the Appalachian Trail before, and he was kind of giving you some pointers on it and stuff. And I think it's just, is it that it was so intimidating in and of itself that you kind of sabotage yourself from doing it, at least up till now?
Not that it wasn't like the hike itself.
Right, yeah.
Not that the hike, what I find intimidating, if you will, is leaving my family. Like I get this overwhelming amount of guilt if I go away for too long.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that is the biggest part that holds me back from doing a lot. Don't get me wrong, I do a lot of stuff, right? I do a lot of things.
I think that's a reasonable concern to not do something like that. I mean, depending on what your life is like, you have obligations and responsibilities. Yeah. You have an obligation to your family and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily say that reason is like sabotaging you doing the Appalachian Trail. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's maybe not sabotage as much as I feel like guilty.
Well, making excuses can be outside of the fact that you have a family to take care of and be a part of. Right. So, I mean, yeah, that part I can still kind of see. You know what I mean? And it still requires a lot of planning and all of those other things. And it seemed like you were just, you were having a hard time with that piece. You were doing good when it comes to talking to people, getting an idea of like what to expect, looking up gear, all of that. That part was good. It seemed like it was the map side of things when you actually had to map out, okay, how far are we going each day? I remember you and I were talking. For some reason, I remember we were driving in my car and I was running to the bank for something. And you and I were like, yeah, we could probably do like, I don't know, 20 miles a day. Yeah. And then we called Nick. Our guy in Fat, he's a vet, great dude. He runs Troops on Trails, a lot of other stuff, big outdoors type guy. And we said that to him, and he's like, no way. He's like, you're not doing 20 miles a day.
He's like, you'll get lucky if you get like 7.
I remember he said like, because I remember we said like, well, what about like 10 to 12? He's like, you'd be pushing it.
Yeah.
He thought, you know what I mean?
I do remember that.
So it's a lack of proper planning for sure. But again, and that a lack of proper planning is for sure a way to sabotage yourself. I deal with it also too, like again, when I'm setting my morning routine. So like the night, when I go to bed at night, if I want to set myself up for success the following day, I know what I have to do. I have to go make my pre-workout the night before. I have to get all my gym clothes ready. I need to know where my wallet is, where my phone is, where my obviously my phone, but my headphones and my keys. And I have everything set up and my gym clothes, and everything is ready for me. So when I wake up, all I have to do, pound the pre-workout, throw on my gym clothes, grab my keys and wallet and headphones right next to the door, and then walk outside. I'm outside in like less than 5 minutes from me getting up. I know that sets me up for success. But when I don't do that, well, when I wake up now, what am I doing? I'm rifling around looking for my gym clothes. I got to go make my pre-workout. I got to go downstairs and do that. Then I get sidetracked because I got to feed the animals. And one of my kids wakes up. And so I'm like, okay, I'm making breakfast for my kid. And I easily get sidetracked when, if I would have just planned for it properly the night before, would have set myself up for success. And instead, I kind of sabotage myself a little bit. Or when you hit the snooze button and you know you need to get up, when you know that you have something that you need to get done and you don't do it, which is why I love taking ice baths again. And I've said this before, but the reason why I love doing it so much is because the only way you can do it is just by getting in, like quickly. You don't just like slowly inch yourself in there because it's going to be the worst experience ever. The second your toe touches that ice water, your whole body better be in there, bro. You know what I mean?
I do. And I learned that from the Tough Mudder.
Oh, yeah, you did. Because you did the Tough Mudder. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, you and a bunch of vets from FAT, which was awesome.
Oh, so
was
cool.
it 10 of you guys? 12?
I think so. Yeah, there's like 12 of us. Yeah.
You guys did the Tough Mudder a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
And you had to jump in cold water for that?
Cold.
Like ice cold?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was filled with ice and mud water.
And mud.
It was awesome.
So, you know.
Oh, I do.
You got to jump straight in. And that lack of hesitation when doing something hard is a skill. Like that is a very beneficial skill, I think. So I think, again, by doing things like that, it helps prevent me from further sabotaging myself. You know what I mean?
I think that's a good idea.
Do you think that veterans or just anyone with a military background experiences self-sabotage differently than civilians? And if so, how so?
I do. And I think the self-sabotage is more on the extreme end of the spectrum as far as like what you just said. Oh, I don't have my clothes out, so I'm not going to go to the gym. Whereas some veterans are like, hey, the only way I can cope with this is by pounding 2 bottles of Jack. Or something along those lines.
I mean, I think with vets, I think there can be an elevated sense of pride.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that pride, if you can't meet those expectations that you set for yourself, you start digging yourself this pit of shame and guilt and embarrassment. And then you compartmentalize because you don't want to reach out for help or talk about how you might need help or you might be struggling with something because you're like, I got this. Like the amount of times on the crisis side, I've seen a veteran really struggle with mental health and or substance use. The one common denominator, and this is just my opinion based on my experiences, but the one common denominator of the people that struggle the most, it's the ones that are always like, yeah, nah, man, I got this. It's no big deal. Like they really are, they're very dismissive about this in this very destructive thing in their lives. So like they've lost a marriage, they've lost their job, they've lost their house, they've lost any of those things or all of those things. And then you talk to them about it and about getting help and they're like, nah, I got this. And I'm like, man, are you sure you got this? Because I'm just trying to build a pattern around what's happening. And it doesn't seem like you have it. It certainly doesn't seem like you could be so cavalier and confident. Like, oh no, I got this, man. It's like, dude, I think that a lot of that comes from that veteran mentality because that works short term, right? Yeah. It does. I have to assault that mountain, that hill, that whatever. Okay, roger that. You're not going to assault a mountain, but the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, my ankle hurts and I got a headache and I'm thinking about an argument I had with my wife right before I went on mission over the phone or whatever the case may be. I have to, in that moment, put all that shit aside, focus on the mission and get it done because this is a life or death situation. So in that perspective, I have to compartmentalize because I have this job I have to do. I think short term, there is benefit to that. But the problem is that when you get back from that mission, well, you need to ice that ankle that hurt. You need to take something for your headache. You need to talk to your wife and talk out that issue. When those things don't happen, then all those issues just keep building up and building up and building up. And then you just focus on the mission. You focus on the mission. And I think that was what I was kind of falling into for a little bit too, when I was just constantly deploying. So as we're talking about this, I do think another way I was kind of sabotaging myself is I was deployed with so many guys that deployed so many times they couldn't count. So for me, 6 deployments is like nothing. But the reason why I kept deploying was because I just felt like I had to keep doing it. I didn't want to come home. I didn't want to start a life. I didn't want to, the fear of everything I would have to try to build back home. And I already had a good enough reputation and a good enough life being overseas where I just wanted to keep doing it. You know what I mean? And then like I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but my uncle, Vietnam vet, combat veteran, infantry and he was an officer in Vietnam. He tried telling me to stop. He tried telling me to stop going overseas. And I was so blown away when he said that to me. But now I realize that he was saying that to me because he didn't want me to keep sabotaging myself. You know what I mean? When it comes to negative self-talk, what role do you think negative self-talk and inner criticism play in keeping us stuck where we're at?
Only the largest part ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
When you fall into negative self-talk, what does that look like for you? How does that get bad?
It hasn't been bad for a while. But what it used to get to was very dark, depressed.
Yeah, because you're digging yourself a hole.
Yeah, and then I was never good enough for anything or anybody, or I wasn't good enough to do this or good enough to do that, or you look in the mirror and God, you suck, or look how fat you're getting, or
and again, short term versus long term. Like I can see to a degree, depending on what you're saying.
Why did you emphasize the word "see" there?
Ooh, I can smell. I can smell to a degree how saying something very harsh to yourself before doing something very difficult would motivate you. Like I'm doing a PR. Like what I used to compete amateur strongman stuff. So like I would see these guys psyching themselves up. Sometimes they hit themselves in the face. I would assume you might be saying some negative shit to yourself. When I had to do this event, they were called timed holds. And so one of the events at some of these strongman competitions was that you would have to hold these 2 farmer's carry handles. And if you're unsure, that's just a handle that goes out on both ends, and then you put plates on the side. You put plates on both sides, and then you'd have to hold on to these handles, these weighted handles. And I can't remember the weights that I had to hold in each hand. I think the lightest was 250. I think it was possibly up to 350. I can't remember, but between 250, 350 pounds in each hand. So all that weight is coming down on your fingers. And dude, you just have to hold it for as long as possible. You have to go to a very dark place in your head to be able to hold it as long as I could. You know what I mean? Because I had to just go to some dark, loud, everything's on fire place in my brain because of how much pain I was in holding those things. So, and that's what I needed to do to accomplish that little mission. So in terms of that, I understand how some negative self-talk can potentially provide some service to you.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, it's so destructive. Like, how is it not going to be destructive long term when you're calling yourself a fat piece of shit, an idiot, whatever you're saying to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to be like, oh, you know, I'm going to go lose some weight now? Like, you're digging yourself a hole. And it's so easy to dig yourself a hole. And then I feel like when you start digging yourself a hole, then the pity starts coming in.
Yep.
And the guilt.
Yep.
And you're like, well, I am a fat piece of shit. So what would a fat piece of shit do? I'm going to
Eat some ice cream.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With Oreos as spoons. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I think. Were you in my house? That's why I think it's very scary water. It's very scary water to tread when you really start talking negatively to yourself. So I definitely could see how that could keep you from moving anywhere. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree. Do you think self-sabotage is more about fear of failure or fear of success? And which one hits closer to home for you?
So I think it can go both ways, depending on, for some people, I think I'm just going to use you as an example.
Yeah.
This could be bad or a wrong example, but you always say you don't want to go any higher into politics than where you're at because of the fear of what might come from that.
Yeah.
So I think that is a fear of, in a positive,
success.
Fear of success, just in the sense of or I think of the show Designated Survivor.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes, that's what I think of as far as the fear of success, because he finally made it and became successful, but he became everything that he was against at the very beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I genuinely I think I understand the concept of ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you learn, the more that you know, the scarier and darker you realize some aspects of life and the world can be.
Right.
And so I find myself in a position where I'm like, do I really want to learn more? Do I really want to know more? Do I really want to dive into a world where I'm going to have to deal with these almost impossible situations? I would almost rather not ever get into it. I would, you know what I mean? I'd rather stay out of it completely. But yes, to a degree, I definitely agree that is fear of success. I think most of the time, self-sabotage is probably because of fear of failure.
I was just about to say I'd agree. Just on, for me, for example, you're afraid to fail. You don't want to, so you don't even attempt or.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it. And I think that's why if you can accept that failure is just a part of the process, I think it can help you deal with that issue if your self-sabotage is about fear of failure. Because if you listen to anybody who's ever been successful, at anything, pretty much all the people that I look up to from a mentor perspective that have achieved a lot are all we screwed up a bunch. There's so much failure in their past. Maybe not so much, but significant failures that would have thrown other people completely off the trail. Other people have been you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. And they just quit. So many successful people say you have to keep going through that failure. You have learn from it and continue on. So you can't be afraid of it, What is one way that self-sabotage has shown up in your day-to-day life that you think a listener of ours might relate to?
In my day-to-day life.
In your day-to-day life.
I think going back to eating right, or the motivation to do stuff around the house.
Yeah.
And things like that, I think are the biggest ones. Where I just come up with excuses oh, I can't go to the gym today. I'm whatever, XYZ, or...
For me, it's just getting on my phone. Getting on my phone, I feel more times than not is self-sabotaging. Yes, I'm on my phone a lot, taking calls or texting, and it's usually about something that's, significant, or whatever the case may be. But when I get on my phone and I start doom scrolling, you know what I mean? Anytime I find myself doing that, I'm sabotaging myself right now. There are a billion other things I could be doing right now. I could be meal prepping. I could be running. I could drop down and do 10 push-ups right now just to work on my health. But instead, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole of chef reaction videos or whatever the hell else I'm watching. And it's just I know that I'm sabotaging myself. And it's not you get to an end where you're you've seen all of the internet. You just keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's an endless way to self-sabotage yourself.
Unless they're monkey videos.
You still watch the monkey videos?
Oh my God, dude, I watched one of her eating an ice cream cup today. It was so adorable.
Today?
Today.
What's the name of the monkey?
Gatlin.
Oh, Gatlin.
Gatlin Ray.
Is it like a spider monkey?
I don't know.
You don't know what kind of monkey it is?
It's a little one that wears a diaper, dude.
That's adorable.
It is, and she was eating an ice cream cone.
You need to stop self-sabotaging yourself with that monkey.
I know. God.
Those damn monkey videos, Brad.
I know, dude. They're so addictive.
I just want to see, like, Amanda just argue with you and walk out of the house, and she's just like, I'm just sick of you in these monkey videos. You know what I mean? Like, you're just addicted.
Why would you want that?
Videos. Just because the idea of it makes me chuckle a little bit. And then you guys make up, and then you go to rehab for the monkey videos.
And then we buy a pet monkey.
You can't buy a pet monkey in Illinois. I've looked this up. I know.
Oh, because you tried to bring one home from...
Because I tried to bring one home from Afghanistan.
Right.
So, I think that's the easiest way to self-sabotage, is just by like just jumping on your phone and getting lost and then allowing yourself to get emotionally hijacked by whatever other people are telling you to be angry at.
Yeah.
That's such an easy way to self-sabotage yourself because you're not being productive and it can affect your mood, which could screw up the rest of your day. You know what I mean? 10 minutes of just like looking on Facebook and going to some group and watching what people are saying in the comments. And you're like, oh God, like it can just put you in that bad spot.
It can.
Anyway, so there are many reasons why a person might act in a way that proves damaging to his or her own well-being. Some individuals, of course, spend much of their lives struggling with powerful cravings for food, drinking, gambling, or other temptations that come at a painful cost to their health or their relationships. But the forces that lead to self-sabotage can also be more subtle, such as an accumulation of dysfunctional and distorted beliefs that lead people to underestimate their own capabilities, suppress their feelings, or lash out at those around them. And that is another thing, too, that I've found myself guilty of, I think, from a self-sabotage perspective. And I do think anybody who's ever been in a relationship can relate to that. When you are angry about something in your life, and you might not even know what it is, but you're just not in a good mood. And then you come home and you take it out on your partner, like you snap back at them. You know what I mean? And they could be in a great mood. And the way that you talk to them, again, is like, it's very cutting. It's not kind and loving and compassionate. And you can feel like you're just trying to start a fight. Like I've felt myself get into that space where I'm like, am I just trying to start a fight right now because I'm angry and I'm trying to find a way to release these emotions and this is the way I can do it? Like, that's another thing that I know I have done from a self-sabotage perspective. So that kind of resonated with me. It can be difficult to identify self-sabotaging behavior, especially because the consequences might not immediately follow the behavior, making the connection unclear. Again, I kind of think about weed.
I would say, so would addiction fall into that then?
What do you mean?
Like being addicted to, I don't know, like crystal meth or something? Or at what point does self-sabotage become addiction? Or is it just two separate?
I mean, I think addiction is self-sabotage. When you're addicted to something, that is very much self-sabotage because you're relying on something for you to be able to do whatever it is you do. And I think you can probably not all the time, but you can easily put yourself in a position where you are now sabotaging yourself because of your drive to drink, do drugs, have sex, whatever it is, gamble. Like, so I think those are pretty much in the same vein. I don't know. So as I was saying, it can be difficult to identify the self-sabotaging behavior because the consequences might not immediately follow that behavior. And that was what makes me think of weed, because it's like, again, I'll smoke weed at night, I'll go to sleep, I'll wake up the next day, kind of feel a little groggy. But really, I've been living that for some time, and it really took me some time to make that connection that maybe that is part of the issue for myself. So I definitely agree with that. One approach is to examine whether your behaviors are aligned with your long-term goals. If not, the behavior may be self-defeating. So again, if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to work out at 4:30 in the morning and smoking a bunch of weed at night, doesn't align with my long-term goal. There's also a quiz you can take to find out whether your behaviors are problematic or not. I got that from Psychology Today, and I'll try to post that link. We'll try to post that link in here so you can take a quiz. Essentially, you go through, it's like 30 different questions and rate yourself from 1 to 7. 7 being you strongly agree, 1 being you do not agree at all. I believe 1 you do not agree at all. And it asks you all these questions about how you perceive certain situations, so you can try to understand if like you're really sabotaging yourself or not.
Okay.
And mine was fairly accurate, I remember. As far as like what it said I really wasn't sabotaging myself with, and the things that it said that I was. So it's good to be able to keep yourself in check by using scales like that and reputable from reputable sources.
Yeah, it must be nice.
What do you mean?
I just mess with you.
Oh yeah,
because
I sent it to you and you couldn't take it. And you're like, I can't see it. And I was like, fuck. They don't have these quizzes that you can smell.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do, man.
God damn.
We're doing.
Well, I guess I'm just not self-sabotaging then.
I guess you're not.
There it is.
I guess I could. I was gonna say I could see where you're coming from, but I can hear it. You also need to be aware of the concept of the anti-self, which is your inner critic, typically rooted in early life. That voice that says, don't try, you're just going to fail, you suck at everything. It's sneaky because it makes you believe that you're protecting yourself, but really it's keeping you stuck in the same place. And I've seen this with people for sure, especially people that had shitty parents, right? Because the people that just do not believe that they can try new things, that don't have that confidence in themselves because they just think that they're going to fail, that say those negative things about themselves, like that is so sabotaging. You know what I mean? Of yourself to have that type of outlook. And I think if that's the mentality that you have, I think you have to do a little bit of reflecting to try to figure out where that's coming from to make sure it's not keeping you stuck in the same place, right? So the next segment is on spotting the patterns. So again, the signs of self-sabotage, procrastination, perfectionism, avoidance, unrealistic standards, things like that. If you are listening to this, think about this. Where in your life do you feel stuck? Is it possible that you're standing in your own way? How do you think procrastination can sometimes be a form of self-sabotage?
Procrastination?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have to get something done in a timely manner,
Yeah.
for like your job or whatever.
I feel like it's the easiest way to self-sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely.
just
School or
Get
just
busy with something else.
Yeah.
You just like let yourself become preoccupied with something else when you know that there's something super important that you need to do. And you just let yourself you prioritize other things, and you know, and you can feel it in your gut that you're not prioritizing the right things. You know you're self-sabotaging yourself in that moment, you know? If you are also wondering why you procrastinate, like I was, let's get into that. So people procrastinate on tasks that in some way evoke anxiety or distress. That's why you are procrastinating, because whatever it is you're trying to put off gives you some sort of anxiety or some sort of stress. Putting the task off allows people to avoid those negative emotions, even if it also prevents them from accomplishing long-term goals that would bring happiness or fulfillment. Distractions, like I mentioned before, social media, or setting vague deadlines, like I'll get to that next week, also fuel procrastination. Like the vague deadlines, yep, that's for sure. Like when I used to work for CertaPro Painters of Homewood, now it's CertaPro Painters of, I think, Homewood, Kankakee County, and Orland Park, because they've been growing. Props to them. Rob Smith, who is the franchisee of CertaPro, of that CertaPro, always was on me about using my calendar. He's like, no, dude, you got to schedule it. You need to schedule it. And I fought him on it for the longest time, because for the longest time, and I still am like an agent of chaos in my mind a bit. You know what I mean? Like I'm about chaos and all of that other kind of stuff. But like if I do not schedule it, it does not get done. So it's like a vague deadline, like I'll do that before the end of the month. And I still am victim to that. Like I'm still guilty of that, where I'll say things like that. But then I'm like, no, I need to set a hard date. Like, no, I'm going to do this on Tuesday at noon. You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely see how that can fuel procrastination. If you are the type of person that sabotages your relationships and you're wondering why, developing a deep relationship leads to vulnerability. The process can make some insecure about the potential loss of a relationship, of their self-esteem, and uncomfortable feelings that surface. The desire to avoid emotional pain and protect themselves could be the reason for sabotaging a relationship. Exploring those emotions and fears in therapy could potentially help you break that pattern. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen people do that too. I've seen people sabotage themselves in relationships, especially when they just got out of a shitty relationship. You know, they're sabotaging themselves either because A, they're worried that this person is going to be just like the last person, or B, because they don't even want to get into the position where they could be hurt like that again. You know what I mean? So I've definitely seen a lot of people sabotage themselves and sabotage their relationships, you know? Sorry, were you going to say
No. I'm just taking a breath.
Yep. Stop breathing for the rest of the episode. If you're wondering why you can't break your addiction, drinking and doing drugs allows people to escape difficult emotions. Like, it allows you to numb yourself. You can't really develop, or you can develop, a warped perception about that habit, such as you need the alcohol to be liked. You need to smoke weed to be more relaxed or to have quality relationships. Even when reality demonstrates the opposite, such as drinking or doing any sort of drug ruins your relationships. These distorted beliefs, in addition to the neurobiological changes, make overcoming addiction extremely, extremely challenging. And again, kind of comes down to making excuses too. Like, I see people that struggle with addiction on a daily basis, and some of those people really like to blame everything else. And to them, it's not the alcohol that's the problem. It's everybody else's reaction to them on the alcohol. That's the problem, right? Not the right way to think. Do you think self-sabotage is always conscious, or do you think it's happening kind of under the radar?
Ooh. I think it starts out as a conscious decision, because at least when I have self-sabotage in the past and things like that, I've always been like, I should be doing procrastination, for example.
Yeah.
I should be doing this. Like, I should be doing that.
Yeah.
But you're like, I'm not going to. So I think it starts out like you're, and I think the more you do it, the more it just becomes.
You think it starts out being conscious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the more you just become, the more it just becomes natural to you to just do it with everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely think that you're aware of it sometimes. I also think that there are plenty of times where you might not be aware of it. But I do think that we have a sixth sense of some kind, like, in our gut. Like, you feel it in your gut first, where you're like, I don't know if I should be doing this. Like, I don't know if this is productive. You know what I mean? Like, you sort of have that thought there. And then I think mentally you argue with yourself a bit, and you make an excuse, and you make yourself feel like it's okay to do blank. And I think at that point, it's not completely conscious. Like, you're sort of aware, sort of not aware. And then, you know, when you really start listening to your gut and you really know, okay, yeah, why am I doing this? Like, it starts to become more conscious when you really start practicing mindfulness and just being aware of your own actions and emotions. Like I was saying before about taking out my bad day on my wife. Like, I recognize when I'm doing that now. It's very conscious. And the second I even start to get the attitude, I can usually stop myself, apologize, talk it out, whatever the case may be, because I've been working on making that more conscious, like if I'm doing something like that. And all of that, I believe, starts with you being very mindful and very self-aware to understand where those emotions and feelings are coming from, right? What role do you think shame or guilt plays in keeping self-sabotage cycles alive? Kind of already talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it keeps it alive. Yeah. But then it goes back to what I said earlier about if you say something negative about yourself?
Yeah.
Is this where a good spot to put that in, or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, so I learned this from Brandon, actually. But if someone talks crap about them in front of me, like, hey, don't talk. So, for example, my wife says something that she did. Oh, I look so bad in this dress. Like, hey, don't talk about my wife like that. She's beautiful. And like the instant, like the attitude changes.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
yes.
You know
that
what
is
I mean?
a great way to break that cycle for sure. When
Yeah, yeah.
somebody is shaming or guilting themselves, using a little bit of humor, saying something to kind of derail that thought process, right? Yes,
Yeah,
I
and it's
definitely
usually-
agree.
Yep.
Do you think that avoiding therapy, peer support, asking for help, anything like that can be considered a form of self-sabotage?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, because I think
agree.
you're consciously choosing not to get the help that you like. I feel like deep down, no matter who you are, like people know therapy works, and they otherwise it wouldn't be a thing.
I think that's complex in that I do think therapeutic applications can absolutely be very beneficial. However, do I think that there's bad therapists out there? Yeah. Do I think that by therapy, like if you are a therapist, I'm trying to think of how to word this right. There are studies out there that have started talking about the other side of therapy, which is essentially if you are just ruminating on all of these negative thoughts and feelings and past traumas and things like that, and how that can have kind of a depreciating type of effect on you also. So I'm just saying I think we have a lot more to learn about therapy. I definitely think therapeutic applications are super beneficial when used correctly by the right clinicians and sort of like legit clinicians. So I do think therapy does work a lot, but I still think we have a lot to still improve on a bit,
Sure.
in my opinion. I do think that avoiding it completely, it should be considered, that is self-sabotage, because like you said, you know what you need, right? You can feel that feeling in your gut, like, maybe I should talk to somebody about this. Maybe this is a problem. Like I just made an ass of myself getting drunk at this whatever family birthday party or whatever. Like, you know what? I need to do something about this. And then you decide to avoid it. You don't want to go. You don't want to ask for help. Like, yeah, you're sabotaging yourself, because what are you worried about? You're worried about going and finding out, oh, I do have a problem, which means I need to do something about it. And that's scary. That can be scary. And that can be intimidating. So just completely avoid it altogether. And what's the easiest way to do that? To keep doing whatever the hell you're doing to sabotage yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's just, again, terrifying cycle. So let's talk about some tools for change. Luckily, you can still overcome nearly any form of self-sabotage. Like we were talking about a little bit ago, behavioral therapies can absolutely aid in interrupting ingrained patterns of thought and action while strengthening deliberation and self-regulation. Motivational therapies can also help reconnect people with their goals and values. Self-compassion, mindfulness, and reframing negative self-talk are all great tools that you can use to stop self-sabotaging.
I just want to add how easy it is for people to negative talk.
Yeah.
It's just as easy to do positive self-talk.
Dude, I disagree. I think it's hard, man.
It's hard, but once you do it and truly mean it, it's life-changing. Because when I started my journey, that is what kickstarted my entire weight loss journey, everything. That's what kickstarted it. I was able to look into the mirror and actually tell myself I loved myself.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's super important for sure. And I think it becomes easier as time goes on. But I think to be able to speak to yourself in a positive way, it's a practice. Like it takes work, it takes effort, it takes consistent effort. And it's also your environment too. So like I was talking with a guy who was on this podcast, Connor. Remember, you know Connor real well. Yeah. So Connor and I were having a discussion about this recently. And I told him that like, dude, I listen to positive music and stuff too sometimes. Like, because I need to get myself in that positive place. And I say this all the time, and I got this from the military. False motivation is better than no motivation. When you start, even if you're faking the funk, like if you start surrounding yourself with positive stuff, positive people, positive videos on YouTube, you can use those algorithms for good.
Yeah.
Like you start watching that type of stuff, listening to positive stuff, like sometimes you can get yourself into a positive mood. And when you find that control over yourself, that is incredibly liberating. So I definitely agree. I personally have a hard time with it, and it's something that I'm constantly working on, but I definitely think it's going to get easier.
I think I said it. I think I forgot how hard it was at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I think because So,
But you are also the type of person that when you set your mind to something, like you can do it. Like 75 hard. That's no easy walk in the park. And when you first told me, when you first told me you were going to do that, dude, you killed it. You killed it. You went all the way through. That's why I'm like, I have no doubt you can do it again.
Oh yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean? I know you don't either, but it's like clearly you use positive self-talk and it works well for you. You know what I mean? And also documenting and analyzing behavior is a key component of preventing self-sabotage. People prone to self-defeating behaviors can notice when they feel stressed. They can write down both the source of that stress and how they responded. Then they can explore whether that choice encompasses any mistaken or harmful beliefs, and then train themselves to respond in a new and healthy way, such as by sharing feelings with others, exercising, or developing a new hobby. Makes sense when you think about it. Write your shit down. If you make a bad decision, write it down and write down why you made that decision. Like, I can't tell you how many times I was explaining myself to my wife, and immediately, like, my wife's like, why did you do this? And as I'm explaining myself to her, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. Like, I just needed to hear it. I needed to hear myself say it to understand, like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know where I was at mentally when I made that decision, but that doesn't make sense. You have to have your own set of checks and balances. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that if you believe you're self-sabotaging, find an example of it, write it down, and write down, like, mentally, where were you at when you made that thought? What was your thought process and what was the desired outcome? And then once you look at that, hopefully through sober eyes, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I need to make a change there. Instead, when I start feeling this way, I need to do something else, right? So that made a lot of sense to me. Also, being mindful, as we'd mentioned before, can help you identify triggers for self-sabotaging behavior. Harmful thought patterns can occur automatically without conscious processing. To uncover those, try and bring more conscious awareness to your thoughts. Take note whenever you feel a distressing emotion. What were you thinking about right before that? Doing that exercise regularly can also help you uncover your self-sabotage triggers. So again, it really requires you to be self-aware. It requires you to be mindful. And it requires you to be able to stop yourself when you're having some of these thoughts.
And just for anybody listening, those three things are very great advice, but it takes practice and it just doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, those are the steps, but also remember that it be compassionate to yourself and understanding if you don't, nail these tips the first time.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate the philosophy of Stoicism, because you don't really find anybody that says, I'm a Stoic. You find people that say, I'm practicing Stoicism, because it's it's something like all of this stuff. It's consistent effort. It's not like you just do a 180 and you're like, well, I'm this now. It's like, nah, you got to work on it all the time. And those shitty moments of your life, that's when you really have to work on it. And that's the hardest time to work on it, because you don't want to. You want to give into your vices so you can numb yourself, right? But those are the times where you build your true strength, I think. So yeah, I agree with you there. Where was I? Oh, so how you can stop procrastinating. I found this and I kind of disagree with it, but I'm going to read it anyway. it can be helpful to start a new task or start a task without thinking about the entire project or timeline. That's what I read. It says beginning at any point and accomplishing even a tiny portion will fuel motivation and change your perception of the project. I agree with that to a degree. However, like for example, we're talking about the Appalachian Trail.
Yep.
You're like, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and do a mile, and we're just going to see what happens. And you go out there and you do a mile, or you're probably not going to stop after 1 mile. So maybe you'll do 10 miles. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to come back in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and start going. I see how that can be beneficial. However, if you, I don't know, have ADHD, that's what I do. Like there was a time I'll start a ton of different projects at once. I've gotten a lot better now, which if you know me, you might be like bullshit, but like I'm way better now than before in that I would start, like my garage would be filled with all of these miscellaneous projects I started. Art projects, wood shop type stuff, painting, all sorts of stuff. I would get an idea and I would start it. And then I would hop to another idea. My tattoos. I don't know if I have one finished tattoo. Like, because we start a tattoo, and then I'm like, Sarah, I got this awesome idea for another tattoo. And it got to the point where Sarah was like, we're going to finish one of your tattoos before we start any other tattoos. And I was like, okay. Like, so I don't know if I agreed necessarily with that one, but what's one strategy that you have used or wish you'd used sooner to stop getting in your own way?
The positive self-talk, I think.
Yeah.
I think I wish I would have done that in my 20s when I was in the Marine Corps still. And
yeah.
Obviously, everything in hindsight is 2020,
Sure.
but yeah.
Anything
Go ahead.
Hindsight's 2020.
I mean,
it's your hindsight.
For some of us, it is.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I think that's
Positive self-talk.
positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Positive self-talk, I definitely think is a good one. One thing that I've been doing that I wish I would have started doing sooner is when I wake up in the morning, not looking at my phone. Like,
Yeah.
I was in the habit for such a long time. Second I wake up, I grab my phone and I start scrolling through social media. And I'm like, why am I doing this the second I wake up? You know what I mean?
I do.
And it's just like, because you're laying there and you might not want to get up yet. And so you just kind of want to lay in your bed so I can take my phone and I can start looking through stuff while I'm laying in my bed, just trying to adjust to waking up. But it's really not beneficial. It's not a good way for me to start my day. And I just started doing this maybe like a couple of weeks ago, where like when I wake up, I try to not check my phone for like at least an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to build upon that. And I got that recommendation from the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday. He's got a YouTube channel, huge YouTube channel. And he talks about like when you wake up in the morning, don't check your phone. He says you need to journal and you need to go for a walk, do something outside really quick. It doesn't matter how long. And then if you want to get on your phone or whatever, then like, great. And so I'm like working my way towards that. But I wish I would have started doing that a lot sooner, I think, you know?
Yeah. I'm lucky in the sense, I guess not lucky, but like once I'm up, right? So I can't just lay in bed.
Yeah.
So like I just get up.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helps.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think humor and self-awareness can help people recognize and disrupt self-sabotage?
This is where I should have saved the one thing.
Well, this is just like what this is like what you said before. So again, you can disrupt somebody else's negative self-talk or somebody else's self-sabotage by being funny about it.
Or
you can make them feel worse.
No.
Oh.
Yes. No. I guess if like self-sabotage, somebody thinks they're self-sabotaging, they apologize. Thank them instead of saying sorry. Or like if you think you're said that wrong. Never mind.
No, go with it. Let's say you tell me if I fuck something up and then I'm going to be like, thank you, Brad, after I fuck it up.
Yeah. So for example, just wait. Let's say I was, I don't know, late to the podcast.
Yep.
because I didn't do anything wrong. What if my kid was sick or something? I don't know. Even though you picked me up, that's besides the point.
Right.
But I'm just like, hey, Eric, thank you for understanding that my kid was sick and I was late.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that fits there.
No,
but
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a good, that self-awareness can disrupt self-sabotage. That's
Yes.
a great example, because then instead of going at it from a negative perspective, like, I had to, like, I'm blaming my kid for making me late to this thing.
Yeah.
Instead of using that negative language, you're turning it positive and you're saying, hey, person that I had to go meet with, thank you for being so understanding about it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. That was a great point. If somebody listening right now realizes that they're sabotaging their own progress, what's the first small step you'd suggest that they take?
Celebrate your small victories.
Yeah.
Be proud of yourself, no matter how big or how small the accomplishment that you're trying to change.
Love that too.
I think that's the first step, is to just say something positive about yourself. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Saying something very positive, or just being great, saying something that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
I think all of that is extremely, extremely important.
Yep.
Again, I'm trying to kick a dead horse, but on the side of Stoicism, one of the things that all of the great teachers of Stoicism say is, like, when something bad happens in your life, you have to immediately ask yourself, what good can I get from this? What is it I can learn from this? Like, you have to pull some gratitude from that and not let it be anger or any other type of, like, malicious, I don't know, the destructive type of emotion. So I really love that one. So that was good, Brad. I also think on the side of procrastinating, so initially a recommendation somebody gave me, because I would procrastinate a bit, is you need to write down everything, like all of your priorities, everything you need to get done. Just write it on paper. And I started doing that. But the problem that I had is I would get to page 3 and then I would get anxiety, like, oh my God, I have so much shit that I have to do. And I got a really good piece of advice from a friend recently. And she told me, just write down 6 things that you need to get done today. 6 was the number that she chose. She said, write 4 of them professional, 2 personal. Doesn't matter what they are. Doesn't matter how big, how small, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just write down 6 and start there. And the more I thought about it, I was like, no, that's great. Because sometimes my procrastination, I think, can come from a place of, I have so much stuff to do that I'm just so overwhelmed. And I don't know if I'm taking a break. I don't know if I'm just trying to, like, process everything, but it's almost like I'm just short circuiting and I just end up procrastinating somehow. So I started doing that. And what I realized is, if I just give myself a number, 6, whatever it is, and just write down 4 professional, 2 personal things I need to get done today, I usually don't stop when I'm done with those 6, because now I've got momentum going. And I'm like, man, I feel great. I already got all this stuff done. It's like 9 a.m. What else can I get done today? So I think giving yourself clear-cut, accomplishable goals are very, very productive, very constructive, and they can really help motivate you. And it doesn't need to be anything crazy. I mean, making your bed, making breakfast, whatever it is, hanging a picture. Like, it might sound redundant, but sometimes, like, you have something around your house that you need to get done and you know it's not something very difficult or labor intensive, but because of how low priority it is, you just kind of put it on the back burner. Maybe that's just me, but, like, do that, whatever that thing is, cleaning up the garage. I don't know. Like, put those things on your list and get them done. And when you start getting them done, you start getting some motivation, I think, too. You know what I mean?
I do.
So, Brad, as we finish this up, what is one action you can commit to break sabotaging yourself?
One action I can commit to breaking sabotaging myself.
I mean, you're already doing a good job for the most part. Is there something you think you need to commit to?
I do. I need to clean up my eating a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you commit to not sabotaging yourself with your diet?
I could commit to cutting out snacks. I can commit to that.
Say that very confidently. I would have a hard time saying that so confidently.
I think I can. I know I can.
Good for you.
I know I can.
Yeah, dude, I know you can too.
Thank you.
I think I can commit to continuing and building upon my morning routine and like having a solid morning routine, like
Good one.
getting my gym clothes ready at night, putting the pre-workout next to my bed, making sure that everything is easy for me when I wake up in the morning so I can't make an excuse for myself.
Yep.
And not just looking at my phone when I first wake up. You know what I mean?
You know what you could do, unless you buy an alarm clock and then put your phone in a different room.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do that too. I do, because of the nature on the crisis side, I do take phone calls sometimes at night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like late or early in the morning. If my phone rings, I'll try to answer it if I can, just to figure out what's going on. But I've thought about that too. And I think there are definitely applications for that where I should start practicing detaching from my phone more.
Yep. They do make these alarm clocks where it slowly brightens up as soft music plays. It's pretty nice.
Really?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good idea too.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Well, as we close this out, Brad, you got anything else? Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to self-sabotage?
Nope.
I think we did a fairly good job, yeah?
I agree.
Well, remember, the biggest takeaways from this: self-sabotage is fear-based. There are many other tools to help you break your cycle of self-sabotaging, but awareness is typically the first step. Other than that, depending on when you are listening to this, we have some events coming up in the month of September that I'm pretty excited about. September 19th and September 20th, we're going to be at the Buddy Check 22 golf outing. This is a very, very important golf outing for me. So I do also want to take this moment to talk about my friend Don Ball. So Don Ball is the executive director of Buddy Check 22, a nonprofit in Kankakee County, but really works with veterans outside of Kankakee County too. And they provide free therapy for a veteran and anybody in a veteran's life. And their turnaround time when you call their number is like a week, which if you're used to dealing with the VA is like a light speed. Like they call you back quick. They get you an appointment in like a week. Don Ball was an amazing, amazing man. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple weeks ago. Attended his funeral this past weekend. He was a mentor to me, huge supporter of the veteran space. He was a civilian and regretted not serving and wanted to serve in another way. And he is one of the prime examples of when people like veterans turn up their nose at civilians. I'm like, you don't understand. Like there are civilians out there that serve in a different fucking way. And Don was one of those dudes. So this was actually going to be his last golf outing before he was going to kind of hang it up and let somebody else take over. So we really want to make sure this is a great golf outing for Buddy Check 22. You can find them online, Buddy Check 22. And you can check out their golf outing. Please do, in memory of our good friend and mentor and donor and supporter of Project Headspace and Timing, Don Ball. And then at the end of this month, I think it's September, right after my birthday, 26th, 27th, 28th, I believe, we will be at Mantino's Oktoberfest. We're going to have a booth there. It's going to be a really good time. We're going to have a lot of new merch. We're releasing all of our new merch at Oktoberfest this year. So please make sure you come find the Fat booth and the Fat family if you get a chance to check that out too. But other than that, Bradley, I think we did it. You got anything else for me, my friend?
I do not.
Well, thank you again for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe and all the other things, and share this if you got something from it. And if you're self-sabotaging yourself in any way, feel free to comment. Let us know what you have going on. If you found a way to get through it, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. But until next time, this is the 172nd best mental health podcast in Cambodia, according to an email that I got once. And we hope that we helped you go from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine about self-sabotage.